everyone. Thank you again for joining me. As always, your presence is appreciated. So, let's go ahead and get into this book review. I will be reviewing the book called The Wife Upstairs by Rachel Hawkins. And this is the cover of that book. It is so cute with the little flowers. Okay, so let's get into it, okay? This story begins with a woman named Jane. Jane is the young woman running from her past, pretty much. Jane's adolescence was not the best, and she ended up in a foster home that wasn't the best. Jane escaped and attempted to make a life for herself. Jane reconnects with a former foster sibling named John. John and Jane were in a foster home together for a short period of time, so it wasn't like they had a deep connection or really even knew each other that well. Jane sought out John pretty much for a place to stay and a fresh start. So they lived together in a not so good conditioned apartment. And then Jane became a dog walker for families in an affluent community. Jane bumps into Eddie while on one of her dog walks. Eddie is recently widowed and seems to take a shine to Jane. Eddie doesn't have a dog, but quickly obtains one so Jane can walk the dog. I guess that was his intro into, trying to mac to Jane, is to go get a dog so she could walk the dog so that they could have more contact with each other. Crazy, but that's what happened. A relationship begins to form between Jane and Eddie. Jane believes Eddie will be able to give her the life she dreams of. After a time, Eddie takes the relationship to the next level and invites Jane to live with him. Now, mind you, this wasn't a year later, 2 years later. I mean, it was within months that they decided to live together. And Jane is a very willing participant and gives up the dump she was staying at with her, I don't even know if she wants to call him a friend, John. Jane begins to notice red flag behaviors from Eddie, but she quickly dismisses them, like most people do. So he was throwing up red flags, and she was not taking heed to those red flags. Jane began to find out more about Eddie's past with his wife due to the busybodies of the neighborhood that seemed to adore his believed deceased wife, B. Tripp, another man in this community, his wife, Blanche, and B were believed to be close friends since childhood. Tripp said his wife and B had a tumultuous relationship and wasn't as close as everyone thought. Tripp appeared to not like B or Eddie that much. Jane found out that B and Blanche were said to have died while at the lake house. It is believed they had gotten drunk, got on the boat, and went overboard. Law enforcement were still investigating the matter when Eddie and Jane started seeing each other. So this investigation had not concluded before Jane and Eddie started their relationship. So the bodies hadn't been recovered until Blanche washed ashore, which prompted another round of interviews regarding this situation. This story unravels what happened that fateful night at the lake house. It reveals what happened to Beat and Blanche and who is at fault. I will let you read the book to find out the details. I will say there's a slight twist to the story that I didn't see coming. This is another story, though, of where people are not aware of their surroundings, or they choose not to be aware of their surroundings. And okay, so the title of the book is The Wife Upstairs. Okay, so it gives away that part of the story. The wife, B, is upstairs in her home. Now, I'll let you find out how all of that actually happens. But the wife is upstairs in this house that Eddie has invited Jane to live in with him. And Jane is unaware for a period of time that the wife is upstairs in this house. So that is weird to me, that someone can move into a home and not take a look at all the rooms, all the areas of the house. I mean, that's not being nosy. That's knowing your surroundings and where you live. Like, I don't see how people don't explore the place that they intend to live in. I don't get it. Like, I would look in every room, basement, attic. I mean, if I'm going to live here, I'm going to look, because I need to know my surroundings. And the fact that this woman moved in and did not do that was just kind of like, I don't understand the thought process here. I don't get it. I mean, it's not to snoop. It's not to, go through someone's belongings or anything like that. But if I'm invited to live in this residence, I'm going to look. I'm going to look in every area of this house, apartment, or whatever. I don't get it. I just don't get it. This is at least the second or third book that I've read this year that had a person living or in the home and the residents didn't know about it. It definitely adds a level to this story that you will unravel once you read it. Okay? So this story can bring up a few conversations. Obviously, number one is, how do you not know somebody else is living in the same house that you're living in? Another topic of conversation that could be had from reading this book is your friend really your friend? Or are you just so used to each other that you stay connected, but you're really not friends? How does envy and jealousy creep into a friendship? And do you know the signs of it? Interesting. How long should you wait before moving in with a partner? Okay. How long do you wait to date after a deceased spouse, or I would even throw in there a separation or after a breakup? How long do you wait to date after those events happen? Can you love two people at the same time? And I'm not talking about you love your children and you got four of them, or you love, family members, friends. We're talking about intimate, couple like relationships. Can you love two people at one time? I will say this is a moderate paced book. The crime is described, but not in gory detail. There's just enough to give you a picture of what happened. I think the author gave a fairly good glimpse of what was happening in the minds of the characters. I think she could have dived in just a tad bit more, because I was still left with questions. Like, I had questions. So I believe because of how the ending happened, it kind of gives way for there to be a sequel. So there might be a sequel to this book, maybe. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. All in all, it's a good read. I give this book a 4 out of 5. So subscribe, click like, share, tell a friend. If you've read the book, comment your thoughts. I'd like to know what you think about this book. And until next time, keep turning the pages, my book